Turning now to trust and how much we really have in state government's ability to get things done. The Center for Michigan is a nonpartisan nonprofit that works to help people understand policy issues and get them involved in government. The center also publishes Bridge magazine. For the last year, they've traveled around the state to get an idea of what people are thinking. And this week, they've released their report called Fractured Trust: Losing Faith in State Government and How to Restore It. Take a look at what they found. It's all about trust. And if you look at the numbers in the Center for Michigan's annual statewide report, we don't have a lot of it when it comes to state government. After 9 months of community conversations and polling with almost 5,000 residents across the state, CFM found this: 80% of people who participated have either low or very low trust in state government's oversight of K through 12 education. 80% also don't trust government's ability to protect public health. 75% don't trust in the ability to protect the environment, and 68% aren't trusting in the state's ability to foster economic growth. Michigan residents also zeroed in on two key issues: emergency management and campaign finance. 81% said they have low or very low trust in the emergency management law, which hands over control of financially struggling municipalities and school districts to a state-appointed manager. People said that person wields too much power. And there was even more skepticism surrounding campaign finance. Voters want more transparency when it comes to money going to campaigns. The conversations also looked at term limits, redistricting, our relationship with law enforcement, and people weighed in on the critical issues that they think need to be addressed in Michigan. The highest priority: improving K through 12 education. All right, and here with the whole report is the CEO for the Center for Michigan, John Bebow. John, welcome back to MiWeek. It's
Greetings.
Good to see you.
Good to be back.
All right, and we are armed. We are all each armed with the entire report here. I love the idea of measuring trust and measuring how we think about it. These guys actually still have their phones out because they're Googling the numbers of uninsured people that we will get to with your debate at the end of the show. But go ahead and put the phones away now. Stephen, you've got to put the phone away. You're done now.
Hanging with Stephen. Hanging with Stephen Nolan. It's like hanging out with my 12-year-old. I can't get her attention either.
Exactly. At least they're not Instagramming themselves.
Don't get on her side.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So John, talk to us a little bit about why measuring trust here in the state of Michigan and how we feel about our government.
Well, when we started this campaign a year ago, it was as the Flint water crisis was beginning to balloon, and we're out in the field every year talking to the citizens and getting their views on something. We wanted to do this year in anticipation of the gubernatorial election. Another 20 months, we're going to elect another governor, and all of the seats in the House and Senate will be up for election for the first time in 8 years. So we wanted to take a temperature a little bit in advance of that during what turned out to be a tumultuous year on every level. The pain in Flint, the extremely unpredictable and extremely nasty presidential race. And I think that impacted some of the things we heard in the community. And if I had to sum it up, people are ticked off, disillusioned, and we're electing a governor in 20 more months. It's going to be a very interesting ride.
And I hope that at the end of this conversation, we can talk about how we actually change all of that. So let's talk a little bit about what people are ticked off about. What were some of the surprises that you found in this?
We sought to measure public opinion across major areas of state government. So the ability to help the economy grow, K-12 and higher education, the ability to help protect and foster public health, environmental protection. These are all major functions of state government, and across the board, in large sample polls we did and in our community meetings with nearly 5,000 people, 125 locations all across the state, it's pretty overwhelming. The trust is extremely low in the operations of state government today. People just don't believe that government is working well, serving them, and that they're getting good value for it. And I was pretty shocked by it. I mean, I assumed that there's going to be some cynicism, but the level of disillusionment in the public right now, I think, has got to be an alarm for any public official, anybody who's in elected office now, or certainly anybody who's thinking about running in 2018.
Well, John, do we have a baseline? Do you know if gotten worse, stayed the same, gotten better? I mean, do you have anything to put this into context of what's happened over the last
in terms of the
years?
past? No, I don't. And you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much baseline is going to matter next year. It's not like our candidates for office are going to be looking back at what the numbers looked like in 1974. I think the numbers in the present, though, are really important. And I think people generally are looking for things to work well, for something to work well, for some victories.
Well, you've had a governor now for 6 years who has gotten much of his agenda through since he's been there. He would say that's sort of proof that government is working. What's the disconnect, I guess, between what he's doing and I guess what people are feeling?
Well, when we elected an accountant for governor, there were a lot of accounting fixes that he was trying to implement, and I think in a lot of ways he did a good job of that. Connecting accounting management and CEO level management to an average citizen out there, I think is growing increasingly difficult. And when you look at the fact that there's this level of disillusionment right now, when the economy is relatively good.
Well, I mean, that's where I was going. I mean, usually when the economy's growing and unemployment's going down, people are happier. There's less complaints. I mean, where's the disconnect between the performance of the state, which is on an upward trend, and the lingering dissatisfaction?
The disconnect is at the kitchen table. Employment has gone up, wages haven't. The sense of security around the kitchen table hasn't improved. College costs have soared. We were in here last time talking about the concerns about college costs. And the discontent is with the things that the public has asked for are not really being acted on. We've been in here before talking about infrastructure and the need to improve the roads.
But this isn't a single state issue then, because all over the country those conditions exist.
Fair enough, but the Center for Michigan is focused on a single state. God help me if I ever had to work in Washington.
Well, let me ask you this, though. So, I love a lot of the community conversations because people are very passionate. They're obviously engaged because they're there, because they want to talk about what they see going right and what's going wrong in Michigan. Do you believe, though, from the people who were at these conversations, from the people that you polled, that this makes people want to engage more in the political process and understanding what's happening in government and policies and changing them? Or do these feelings lead people to pull back and say, well, forget it, there's nothing that I can do to impact any kind of change at all because I don't trust them and I don't believe that anything's going to work?
I'm sensing a pullback at the state level, but more engagement in what's going on federally. I mean, you see that in activism on the left and the right toward Washington, toward national issues. But on the state level, I think it's become a little bit more obscure, and I think there's less engagement. I think that creates a very challenging environment going into the next election because so much focus is on Washington right now, whether you like what's going on or whether you hate it, that I think I think there's only so much capacity in a citizen's day to keep track of it all. And I'm worried about whether there's going to be full engagement in next year at the state level.
What are some of the things that you would say if you were, I don't know, one of the people who says they want to be governor? What can those people do over the next, 18 months to make people believe that they will keep their trust and that they will deliver on the things that they want?
Well, the first thing I would say and have said, because we brief candidates always on our work, is good luck. It's a really tough environment. Yeah. But secondly is set up a plan to create some fixes and follow through on it. I mean, the big issues here simply aren't being dealt with right now, especially in the legislature. I think the governor is doing some things that aren't always politically wise, but are really good governing. He's set up 3 commissions to look over the horizon 20 years or longer at some of the big needs in this state. He's assembled the best experts, bipartisan experts that he can, nonpartisan experts that he can, to look at the economy, education, and infrastructure. The infrastructure report came out a couple of months ago. $60 billion in needed fixes, water pipes, sewer pipes. That has to do with the economy. That has to do with industry having the kind of resources they need to do business. And roads, $60 billion. The Education Commission just came out with its report, 10 days ago? Again, assembled the best experts he could find inside of education, outside of education. They come up with a price tag of $1 billion, $2 billion of what's needed just to fix the system.
And let me point out, John, in your report that people said that education should be among the highest priority in terms of doing
they
something
always
to
do, and we've spent years talking to citizens about education, and yet the education rankings come out once again in terms of academic achievement. We're on the bottom. People aren't seeing movement on these things. And in the legislature, you have these two big commissions that have just issued these big, sweeping, long-term reports. What's the legislature doing right now? Their main thrust right now is to find $1 billion more to cut out of the state budget for an income tax cut that's going to put, what, $5 in the average citizen's pocket per month? That's not movement. That's not prosperity for anybody. It's not really helping anybody. It's not focusing on the things that the public wants done.
Did you find any area in here where people were feeling good or feeling positive about things?
Not particularly. A couple areas where they want some improvement. They want a lot more transparency in campaign finance, number one, which probably is dead on arrival in Lansing right now. And secondly, they want reform of the emergency manager law. This is at least the third independent report that has come out in the past year after Flint that says, fix this law. The governor's after action task force in Flint said, fix the emergency manager law. There's no local voice. That water crisis could have ended months earlier if the will of the people in the city council in Flint would have been taken. They voted to get back on the water system. And the Senate did an investigation, and it kind of came to the conclusion we need to fix this law. We've met with leaders this week. Well, we might do that maybe this fall. This is the kind of disillusionment that results when the public's desires aren't being
I can't
acted.
imagine we're ever going to see emergency manager again from this governor, given what he's been through with it.
Well, we're going to see some more on TV because some of them are up for criminal charges.
But in terms of appointing one, I can't imagine he'd ever do that again.
But let me ask you this. So also a lot of the conversations you have try to go along the lines of solution minded. And, Stephen asked you about like what would the next governor, what do they have to take into consideration? What would people want to see though? So how do you repair really trust? So you just say it's action. And what you're talking about also, you're talking about a lot of price tag as well. You're saying we should be spending money in certain areas. But what really is the solution in terms of repairing trust?
Well, as I look back at our work over several years, repairing trust means not ranking last in education achievement. It means turning the corner and improving our education system. Now, maybe that's about money, maybe it's about better operations. Either way, the legislature has investigative power. They can set up hearings and get to the bottom of what is going wrong in our education system. But all of the debate about education in Lansing is about adults. It's not about kids. It's not about improving the system. It's about pensions. It's about let's mess some more with the unions. It's about the unions trying not to get messed with some more. It's not about the kids. I think what the public wants is actual action on some of these things.
All right, so we would encourage everybody to go ahead and take a look at this report. It's got to be quick, Stephen. We got 45 seconds left. Are you good? Hey, good. Because I wanted to get back and say, did you find your numbers? Did you fact check your numbers?
He found a number. I found a couple that
Fiscal Times says estimates vary, but as many as 29 million Americans, about 1 in 10, lack coverage.
Okay, and what
May
did you
10th,
what I
find?
found was that we've lowered the number of uninsured by 33 million since 2013, and that this would add 24 million more back to the uninsured.
Oh, we got to make sure that we get trust in journalism too, my friends, with some fact checking the numbers.
29 million people are uninsured.
John, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a link to your report on our website at MiWeek.org. You can see the entire report there.